Okay, it finally happened. We had the court weigh in on a self-driving car, the Tesla Autopilot feature. And so this is the beginning of the news I guess we were waiting for and the inevitable. I had been hearing from some experts that you were going to need LiDAR to be reliable in all sort of weather conditions and visibility. And I don't know technically if that would have helped or not, but it's where my head goes. But let's talk about this from the insurance perspective for a second. This has the ability to flip insurance on its head because historically for auto insurance, we've been underwriting all of the driver's habits and the driver paying attention and the driver's behaviors, or they've been a good driver historically. And now here's the court finding that a partially self-driving car is going to be partially at fault, and there's a huge amount of punitive damages put onto this one. So this, if not appealed and overturned, and if it does, it feels like it's only a matter of time before some of the liability starts to shift to the car manufacturers. And so in an industry that sells a lot of auto insurance, what are we going to see happen? Let's wander in for a second. I mean, the liability shifts from driver to manufacturer or partially between the two. And if it's partially between the two, which is highly likely, you're going to need a massive amount of data sharing and coordination between the manufacturers and the insurance companies to untangle who's at fault per. This could be a total new rewrite of the fault determination rules. You could have a tangling of product liability with the driver personal liability, and where does that go? So then we have the impact on underwriting and pricing models, and how are you going to remap this off of the data for the sensors and the programmers and the cyber liability and security. Currently, this is a bit of Wild West, and there's not a really strong regulation around this section that I know of. I could be wrong there. The claims handling and now introducing a whole other party, and are the manufacturers ready for the volume of claims that they could get dragged into if this precedent holds? And will the courts overturn it just to not have that precedent? That feels like you'd have to have government step in, and how's that going to globally coordinate? Tesla's weighed in and said this could have a really dampening and cooling effect on the development of all of this. For the regulatory, I mean, are we going to have hybrid insurance models, or is there going to be differences around what is labeled autopilot versus what's actually fully self-driving or not, or the different classifications? There's also something already happening that this one starts to hint at driver complacency, and when people believe that there's self-driving cars and there's safety features, what is actually a safety feature versus a convenience feature, and helping you reduce the stress of commuting or driving versus being actually safer than a human? Will this lead to more distractions and a false sense of comfort? Uh, this is a watershed case for our industry and for brokers and agents, and let's see where it goes.